Hey everyone, me Kevin here. So a lot of people have been reaching out over the last hour here because Michael Burry has received a subpoena from the SEC, and now people are asking me, Kevin, why is Michael Burry getting sued? Why is it that if you support a movement like GameStop, you get sued, but Melvin Capital and Citadel can get away with essentially murdering the portfolios of millions of retail investors? Why is it always the suits that get away, but not the bullish ones? Why do they get dragged into litigation to where now Michael Burry and his investment firm have to hire a law firm, I'm sure they already have one, but hire their attorneys to represent them against a involvement with the SEC? Nobody wants to deal with the SEC. The SEC is not looking to give everybody gift baskets. They're looking for fault. Well, I'm going to talk about my thoughts in terms of what is going on here and why this is happening. I do want to give you a quick recap. By now, you probably already know that things went crazy on my birthday with GameStop. GameStop on January 28th went essentially to the moon and only didn't continue its path to the moon because, well, retail traders weren't able to continue to the squeeze thanks to multiple brokerages like Robinhood, Webull, and many others restricting the purchasing of GameStop shares in what has amounted to one of the largest short squeezes since the epic 2008 short squeeze of Volkswagen, which also ironically relates to Michael Burry because Michael Burry is known for The Big Short, where he saw the madness and the insanity of the housing market and bet against the housing market in 2008, which was a housing market propped up by a substantial amount of fraud and liar loans, and saw the big collapse coming. He was right about that. And so when he supported GameStop as something that should not be shorted, took the opposite bet and made a bullish case for GameStop, even though he called the insane ramp up of January 28th excessive, he was a supporter of GameStop. And now Michael Burry is in question with the SEC. And so again, this is leading to those questions like, why is somebody who's supportive of GameStop getting mixed into another case here with the SEC or an investigation by the SEC? Let's take a look at the documentation here. So Michael Burry, whose bullish stance on GameStop helped lay the foundation for the retail investor frenzy. See, notice what Bloomberg has even done here. This is reported on Yahoo Finance, but it was first published by Bloomberg. Not that that matters so much. But anyway, notice what they've done. They've kind of actually credited Michael Burry in part to some of the reason GameStop is running. And this is actually going to relate very much to what I believe is happening here. But Michael Burry said Friday that he has received a subpoena from the SEC. It's important to know this is not a lawsuit. This is just basically calling you to either provide evidence in writing or verbal testimony or some form of testimony to provide evidence in front of a court or an investigative body, or both. Michael Burry tweeted, "So who got an SEC subpoena over GameStop? Actually, I know, they're on my subpoena with all that's going on in the world." And then, of course, this links to a Twitter picture that does not exist because Michael Burry posts his tweets and then deletes them. Michael Burry also has me blocked on Twitter. Yeah. He didn't like the fact that I sent him an eggplant emoji when he said he was shorting Tesla. But anyway, Michael Burry, by the way, also shorting Cathie Wood. Cathie Wood, by the way, also slapped back saying that Michael Burry must not understand innovation. But anyway, so, okay, Michael Burry's got this subpoena. What does this mean and what's going on? Okay, so this is my opinion because obviously we do not have all of the details of this investigation, but we do know what the SEC does. The SEC looks to make sure that there is not fraud and manipulation and misrepresentation in our securities markets. This is very, very important. So, for example, this is why the SEC has started looking into stablecoins, because when we hear stablecoins and we're told they're valued at $1, and there are assets on hand worth at least $1, cash on hand worth at least $1, or cash equivalents, then there better be. Otherwise, that would be misrepresentation, right? The SEC tries to provide that sort of confidence to people so that way they continue to participate in the market. Because the last thing the SEC wants is people to throw their hands up and go, that's it, I'm not going to participate in a rigged market. Now, Many of us still believe that markets are rigged, but at least the SEC is trying to do their best to minimize that. Now, the SEC, this is an important phrase here, okay? Write this one down if you need to. This is very, very important. And no, it is not that the coupon code is expiring tonight for the programs on building your wealth, but you could write that one down too. The phrase is, the SEC's job is to make sure an investment is a fair investment, not necessarily a good investment. Notice the difference. You could publish the financial reports of a horribly run, crappy company, and the SEC can still approve those as long as they're true, right? As long as they're not fraudulent. Now, the SEC obviously has limitations in terms of how much they can determine whether things are truth or fraud. They're not full financial auditors for companies, although if you believe what's happening in China, then you'll also lose a lot of faith in auditing anyway with Evergrande. The fact that you could pass an audit in the spring and essentially declare bankruptcy 5 months later, yeah, that's a little sus. But anyway, take a look at this. If you go to the SEC.gov website, they've got a little bit of detail in terms of market manipulation. And specifically, what we want to look for here, in my opinion, would be a pump and dump. And so they have an example here of a pump and dump. Here we go, category 1. Okay, so worth taking a look at this. So insiders or promoters obtain ownership or control of a significant block of stock or a selected issuer. They then start hyping the stock to the public to generate artificial interest in the stock and cause the price to rise. And the company or promoter could potentially then put out a press release announcing some form of market-moving news that is not true or without legitimate basis. And I read these two paragraphs here about the pump and sort of the dump, because a lot of what happens with the SEC is they're looking for some very key things. Number one, they're looking for things that are not true or without a legitimate basis. So for example, if you are a day trader and you're buying something and selling something, well, that's a legitimate basis. You're going into something and you're going out of something. If you are somebody who is investing in a stock and this stock goes up on news and then you sell and take profits, that's not pumping and dumping. You're just trading, right? But what if now you look for a micro cap company, something that's trading for, I don't know, 2 pennies or something like that. And then you put out a research report that says this company just innovated, let's say, it came out with solid state batteries, functioning, solidly working solid state batteries. Kind of like QuantumScape, that hype we had initially, but they only have lab tested solid state batteries, nothing actually in a form that we could actually use. They're just sort of lab batteries. Well, that would probably cause that 2-cent stock to turn into something very, very expensive. But if that was false or misleading or not true, then that would be wrong. That's where the SEC comes in and says, hey, this is market manipulation. That's when people get fried. That's when people get arrested, they go to jail, they get fined. So why would GameStop send a subpoena to Michael Burry? Well, 2 reasons. Number 1, Gary Gensler is expected to issue a full report on what happened on the days around January 28th between GameStop, Melvin, Citadel, the DTCC, all of the departments and agencies or corporations involved in the madness that transpired with the GameStop short squeeze, where GameStop went from a $40 stock to a $488 stock, I believe $488, and then fell right back down to the mid 100s, now sitting around the upper 100s. Well, my belief is that because this report is coming, the SEC wants to make sure that they show and provide confidence to society that they have fully investigated every possible angle related to the GameStop short squeeze. And if there's somebody with a reputation like Michael Burry for making big bets, somebody who has about 2.5% of their fund invested in GameStop, then it would make sense, and somebody who's been publicly vocal about supporting the GameStop push and the valuation of GameStop, then it would make sense that Gary Gensler, the chairperson of the SEC, would at least want to rule out any potential for manipulation or untrue pumping essentially, and then potentially was there any dumping? Was there any selling? Hey, let's see evidence. Let's see evidence of your trades. Let's see evidence of your analysis. Why did you make the purchase? Why did you sell? What research do you believe in? Whatever, really. And this is then an opportunity for the SEC to include in their report, which I will be going through with a very fine comb to sort of analyze, hey, what the heck actually happened in the eyes of the SEC? And I would expect that the SEC is going to look at Michael Burry and provide evidence that, hey, look, here's somebody who fundamentally believed in the value of the stock, just like Deep F in value, fundamentally believed in the value of the stock, talked about that, saw the excesses that happened, but still held on, and there you go. That's it. That puts the Michael Burry issue to rest. I really think this Michael Burry issue is just about making sure that all of the bases are covered. I don't personally believe that Michael Burry did anything wrong, even though I sent him an eggplant and I think it was wrong that he blocked me. I don't think he did anything wrong by fundamentally supporting GameStop. And if anything, I actually see this as a good thing. I see this as the SEC making sure they're covering their bases, they're not leaving any stone unturned. I think Michael Burry will be totally fine. Probably going to cost them some money, obviously, to go through this in a protected manner. And then we'll all be back to watching for Michael Burry's next big short, which, keep in mind, while his ARK-K big short might not pay off super big, he is also shorting the treasuries market, and the latest announcement from the Federal Reserve on tapering, that's going to print some tendies for Michael Burry's short of the bond market. So, hey, Michael Burry, if you're watching this, unblock me. Or don't, I don't care. Thanks, everyone. So, thanks so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you like this content, and folks, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.